I'm friends with the monster that's under my bed. Get along with the voices inside of my head. You're trying to save me, stop holding your breath.
Sensory memory contains information collected by the five senses. Information does not stay long in your sensory memory. Short-term memory is where information from sensory memory goes through the process of encoding through rehearsal. We'll talk about encoding in a second. Information then moves from short-term memory to long-term memory through encoding again for later retrieval. This video is here to help you learn note-taking techniques, test-taking techniques, and study techniques to help you learn better. Encoding is the process of getting memory into our brain. Encoding happens between sensory memory and short-term memory, as well as between short-term memory and long-term memory. Storage is when information we learn is retained and kept in your memory. Retrieval is when the memories you have in storage are pulled back out of long-term memory and put into your short-term memory for use. Working memory is the active processing your mind does when new information is coming in. You can use your working memory to make connections between what you are learning and what you already know. So why is this important? These different types of memory reflect on learning and studying for school. By cramming for a test, information is encoded in your short-term memory, but not your long-term memory, and is often forgotten very quickly. By learning information over a longer period of time in shorter increments, your mind is able to process more than it would if you learned it for a long period of time the night before a test.
By writing notes in your own words, you are using the start of what is called classical conditioning to understand what you are learning.
Neat and organized notes are going to be extremely beneficial when it comes to studying for a test later on. Unorganized notes are going to be hard to understand, and you won't be able to relearn the information that you may have forgotten.
I'll read the chapter in the book and I'll take notes, especially on the bolded or underlined stuff in there, and you can focus on that. I always write down exactly whatever they write down, and if the teacher says something that I think is important based off of what is ever written down, I'll also write that down.
I usually retake class notes even just by myself at home, so then it reinforces previous concepts.
Here's an example of a bad studying environment. While studying, you want to make sure to limit distractions. That includes limiting noise around you, people around you, and you want to be in a well-lit room and not have your phone out.
Phones are a huge distraction when it comes to studying and taking notes. It's highly recommended that you keep your phone off and face down on a table or in a different room so it does not form a distraction for you.
I start studying not the night before, but the night before.
I usually do 2 nights before. One night to go over everything, then if the night before there's stuff I need to specifically go over, then I'll go over that more.
write my questions down on a sticky note, and then if there's like a vocab word that I don't really know, I'd probably make flashcards sometimes.
For every science class, I've always used flashcards because there's always a lot of terms you have to know. Also for formulas, it's really helpful. As I go over and keep reviewing the flashcards, I can usually remember it for the test.
For bio, we do Bozeman science videos and crash course, so I watch those. YouTube is nice.
If a teacher offers looking at a past year's test, I think that helps a lot, but normally just notes and flashcards.
Some helpful science study skills are making flashcards, physically writing or typing out your own notes, and saying terms over and over again. The repetition of these tips will result in easy relearning over the days you study and easy recognition on the test. Chewing a specific type of gum or listening to a certain song while studying can help activate retrieval cues that, while taking the test, if you chew the same gum or listen to the same song in your head, will help you with the information you need to learn. It is important to go through all aspects of the class. Above are some of the examples of everything to look at while studying: quizzes, homework, labs, worksheets, in-class work, and class notes. Make sure to clear up things before studying. If you begin to study something you do not understand or understand incorrectly, they will be stored like that in your brain, and it will be hard to change those misunderstandings. Make sure to budget your time. Taking breaks every 20 minutes is a good studying technique. If you just cram for your test the night before, the information will be easier to forget.
Hands-on activities are extremely helpful when it comes to learning new material.
I understand now. If you are stressed out while studying, your brain may not be on the subject at hand. Being in a good mood and intently studying what needs to be studied will help you retain information. Completing the problems you know how to do will take less time and leave more time for those you do not know how to do.
With multiple choice, I go through them all but skip the ones that I don't know or I'm not sure of the answer. Then free response is usually the same approach.
Get straight to the point. Focusing on unnecessary answers will just rob you of time. The test is written in a particular way to make grading easier for teachers. Make the test easier for yourself by completing it the way you are most comfortable with.
I'm getting by with my collapsible.
The best would be to study aggressively, study actively, rather than page turn, and set a short amount of time to learn material, rather than just study unlimited. So, for instance, before you ever start, you do like a five-minute warm-up exercise. You study some of the basic skills or the terms and everything else, and then once you do that, you set the clock and you say, in 20 minutes I'm going to get X amount of material. And I suggest not using flashcards, but just putting as much away in your brain, and just being a little bit more aggressive than passively opening up and turning the pages. One thing that always comes up is laboring over multiple choice. And if you've studied, your first answer is usually correct. Don't go back and change those. And so, unless it was just a random answer, leave it the way that it was. And you should be in good shape.
Whether it's studying for an exam or trying to remember your shopping list, might it be possible to improve your memory while you sleep?
The question is, what determines which information is going to be kept and which information is lost?
With support from the National Science Foundation, neuroscientist Ken Paller and his team at Northwestern University are studying the connection between memory and sleep and how it might be possible to boost how much you remember while you snooze.
We think perhaps many stages of sleep are important for memory. However, a lot of the evidence has shown that slow wave is particularly important for some types of memory.
Slow wave sleep is the deepest kind we get. Participants who were able to nod off did a better job remembering what was reinforced while they slept.
We think that memory processing happens during sleep every night. So we're at the beginning stages of finding out what types of memory can be improved and how large the improvements can be and what sorts of stimuli work.
So sleep the night before a test is much better than pulling an all-nighter and cramming for your big test. Now let's sum up what we've talked about. Memory has lots of different parts that all work together to help us retain and recall information that we have learned. Organized notes will be more beneficial in the long run, and unorganized notes will just leave you confused. Taking notes from both your textbook and lecture will help tremendously. Studying for a few days before the test is better than cramming the night before. Also, studying in small chunks of time rather than one long sitting is going to help you retain more information. And when taking a test, don't stress too much over multiple choice. Cross out the answers you know are wrong, and if you cannot even do that, then skip the question and come back to it. And just because a test starts with multiple choice and ends with short answer, you don't have to take the test that way. Do what makes the most sense to you and makes you more comfortable in a test setting. And finally, don't be afraid to approach faculty and your classmates for help. There is no shame in accepting help. It is just going to help you in the long run.
When we collide.